strategic planning, research, teaching and training in health and medical tourism, and has also helped and assisted many medical tourism facilitators in establishing ground operations and developing meaningful relationships with their international counterparts. He was associated with Dubai Healthcare City, Government of Dubai, Gulf Medical University, UAE, Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar Marathwada University, Institute of Clinical Research India, Global Healthcare Network, Infoline Research, an expert panel, and Medical Tour Travel Club. Sir has also designed and upgraded the medical tourism curriculum. He is a member of the Sector Advisory Committee by the National Qualification Authority, Government of UAE. He has been invited as a speaker at various national and international conferences, seminars, summit, and workshops, and has also received the award for 100 Most Impactful Healthcare Leaders conferred by CMO Asia. We are very grateful, sir, for accepting our invitation and taking today's session. Now, I would like to request you to please proceed with your session, sir. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you so much, Professor Siddharth and
Thank you, sir.
Vandita. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's my pleasure, and on the behalf of Global Medical Services, thank you for MIT University, Kolkata, taking such a very good initiative, starting the guest lecture series. It's really very important during the pandemic outbreak. So I think most of the students, I just want to know the participants. I already know the most of the tourism students are there, tourism professionals are there. So is there anyone who have any experience working in medical tourism? So I would like to make it an interactive session, then we will go for the PowerPoint present. Is it okay?
Yes, the participants will not be able to speak because they are
Yeah, no
muted.
problem. They can
So,
chat with me. They can chat with me. So I can check their.
yeah,
Uh,
sure, sure.
am I audible to all participants? If yes, I just type yes. If you are not, I'm not audible, then you can type no. If out of this 96 around 100 participants, if it, is there anyone who is working in medical tourism industry, just type empty. Yes, thank you so much. Shubhidra, Dr. Manisra, Sita, Nayan. Okay, okay. So everyone know Lisa, Rinda, can you check IT? There is this 2-3 candidate participant. They are not able to. Uh, I think listen, I doing my PhD. Very good. Doing your PhD in medical tourism. That's great, Ajit Deva. I have done my PhD in medical tourism in 2009. That's great. Most of many students are now interested to doing a more research on medical tourism, and that is a need of the hour. Actually, today we will discuss on this topic. The topic was very interesting and very close to me. Thank you, Vandita ma'am, for giving such a good topic. So we'll start with the presentation. During the presentation, if you have any, if you want to, if you feel that this point is not that much explained, so you can just please explain or please elaborate. So I will give the example and I will try to elaborate within 60 minutes. We will try, and then after that we'll have question and answer session. Am I going very fast, slow? Just let me know. You can text me. So according that, I will uh, arrange my uh, speed.
Sure, sir.
Is it slide of visible?
Yes, it's visible.
Great, perfect. So dear friends, today we will discuss on medical tourism in the post-COVID-19 world, opportunity and challenges. This is very hot potato now. Everyone is panic about the COVID-19 and the pandemic outbreak. Let me brief about my company. I'm working for the US-based company, Global Medical Services. We have 5 divisions in our company, Global Destination Health, Global Virtual Health, Global Health System, Global Health Consulting Group, Global Senior Services. Our headquarters is Minneapolis, USA. We have offices in London, Dubai, Mumbai, Istanbul, Abu Dhabi, Erka, and Barcelona. So Global Destination Health, that division I belongs, and that is core medical tourism company. So every month we have 100, 200 around patients from all over the world. So just because of the pandemic outbreak, now this division is not that much active, but other our four division is helping to global destination health, how we can develop the SOPs and what will be the situation after COVID-19. So as of you are the tourism students, tourism professional working in the tourism industry. Before pandemic, I was reading most of the articles and it was mentioned over the decades, tourism has experienced continued growth and extending diversification became one of the fastest growing economic sector in the world. We are in the UAE. You know, UAE is a hub for oil and gas. There was one graph is mentioning that the tourism industry was surpass oil and gas also. So that was, and I never ever saw this industry have any downside curve. But this is the COVID-19 impact. Now, this is not forecast. This is just the scenario by the UNWTO. In a blue line, you can see the scenario one. The green line, you can see from 2000, like last 20 years, the graph was, it's okay. Like if you see 2013, there was a SARS, there is a, slash of around 3 million tourists. And then 2019 global economic crisis, there were around minus 37 million. But in 2020, if you see, it's up to, means it's not right figure, it could be there, it just their assumptions through the mathematical equation. So around it could slash 1 billion arrivals. So it's a big number, huge number. Everywhere you are listening the news, you are watching the news, you are reading the news, internet, everywhere is talking about the tourism industry going to be high. Tourism industry, it will take more time to bounce back. And when it bounce back, what will happen? Most of the students, professionals are worried, and jobs are losing. So this is the all situation. So now tell me, are you panic? If you're panic, please just type panic. If not, not panic. Are you panic just because of the figures? Are you panic because of the lockdown? Are you panic because of this pandemic outbreak? I can't see the state. Okay. So friends, don't worry about the situation. Definitely, I'm sure 101%, I'm sure, I'm very optimistic about the tourism industry. It will bounce back. It will bounce back, but first we'll see. Today, I'm not talking about the whole tourism industry, and you have many experts who will talk about the tourism industry. The medical tourism, it's a small segment, small fraction of the tourism industry. I'm talking about that, how it has heated to medical tourism industry and how this industry is working. And now what is the survival strategy for medical tourism industry? Before, first we need to understand the brief about the industry. So now, in a pandemic outbreak, three major milestones were there around 2003, 2009, 2014. SARS were there, swine flu, Ebola. So every time, whenever such kind of incidents happen, now why I'm showing all these figures, this is another one reason we are panicked. That time, Facebook was not there, WhatsApp was not there. In 2009, only few millions users were there. Right now, there are the millions and millions of people are using WhatsApp, social networking, and they are spreading wrong information, wrong news, wrong rumors. Now you'll see what is the, it is relevant with the topic. you know so after the pandemic, when we are making the SOPs, when we are making the survival strategies, these tools are very useful to create the destination brand image. So that's what. So why we are panic now? Just because of the most of the news are fake news. There is no proper information available, and because of this Facebook University, lots of complications occur. So this is the situation. So I request you, don't spread and don't forward the fake news. If it is related to tourism job, is related to tourism market size. If unless and until you are not sure, then don't forward it, because it will impact on their policy also. Who are the policy maker? They will take the research data, so it will create the complications. Okay. So now, whenever such kind of incidents happen, what happened with the tourism industry economy? Okay, when the SARS came after that, or maybe global crisis came after that, this industry bounced back. It's bounced back in a U shape, you know? And most of the people now, they are thinking it will bounce back like a V shape, like in a double force it will bounce back. No, it will not bounce back like that. I would like to just imagine your the Nike logo. The Nike logo, it will. So very slowly, this industry will take up, and definitely it will take up. So now we will come to the a subject. As you are studying the tourism, you know the very well. In 1963, World Tourism Organization, they have identified some of the purposes of travel. So I'm sure most of the students are aware about what are the purposes of travel. Okay. So I would like to share like holidays, business, education, and health, MICE, VFR. What is VFR? Can you type me the full form of VFR? I'm not taking your lecture and I'm not taking the exam. Okay, just to make your show to make it interactive. So we'll focus on the health. For your information, health. I know UNWTO has given the definition of tourism: one person traveling one country to another country, he has to spend more than 24 hours. For the medical tourism industry, what was the purpose? It was mentioned in the GATT agreement. I'm sure by the World Trade Organization, having a GATT agreement. In that GATT agreement, the country's residents can travel for the health and the medical purposes. Okay, so it is a long history. I'm not going to be in history. I'm sure Ms. Vandita told me that you already have one paper on medical tourism. So briefly, I'm explaining all this thing. So now, if you Google the word medical tourism, you will get most of the definition. Okay, there are the different ways to define or redefine the medical tourism. Someone say it's a medical tourism, it's a health tourism, it's a surgical tourism, it's a leisure travel, medical trip, wellness tourism, dental tourism, spa tourism. So now for the layman language, all are the same. Whether it is a medical tourism, wellness tourism, the operation is same, the definition is same. But as a professional, being a medical tourism professional or tourism professional, we should know what is the difference between health tourism, medical travel, wellness tourism. There is no proper definition by UNWTO or WHO, but definitely they have given some guideline in which condition we can say the person who is traveling from one country to another country for a treatment purpose. Okay, the travel part they call it's a medical travel. If after the treatment or before the treatment that person engage with some tourism activities, then we call it as a tourism. Okay, medical tourism. So now most of the people get confused with the this term medical tourism, wellness tourism, health tourism. I will make it very simple. Medical tourism, you can consider in medical tourism most of the surgeries are involved over there. The treatment part is involved over there. Wellness, there is no surgery. Wellness is an alternative form of the medical tourism. Health, it's all about the rejuvenation. Okay, we need to understand, now the market has been shifted after the pandemic outbreak. So we need to understand, we have to identify which are their target market and which are the product we are selling to them and how we are positioning our destination, whether it is a medical tourism destination, whether it is a wellness tourism destination, or whether it is a health tourism destination. So we need to identify, and that's why we need to understand what is medical tourism, what is wellness tourism, and what is health tourism. According to WHO, medical tourism has ongoing increasing trends having wide economic implication. I told you, you know, uh, you must have read about the multiplier effect of tourism industry. You know how the economy is rolling from one industry to another industry. So there is an economic implication in the medical tourism industries too. So there is no exact figure we can show this is the market size about medical tourism, but an average, it is a $60 billion industry. Some estimate it is this figure is by the WHO, IU, and WTO. I referred lots of the research paper, literature reviews. Personally, we have conducted our company have conducted many research, market research. On that basis, the medical market size of medical tourism industry is around in between $60 billion. It's a huge number. Okay, but if you Google and if you saw, so somewhere it was mentioned in some report it was 45 billion or to 72 billion USD. I cannot see your text or your messages. If any, if you want any clarification or something, so we will take a question and answer session. But I can't see your chat text. Okay, so just for your clarification. So most of the experts in this industry, they are predicting this industry very soon will touch about the $100 billion industry. That's a huge number, right? So now you may your second question, what will happen after the pandemic? Right now, okay, it's okay. Before the pandemic, it was $100 billion industry, but what will happen after that? Um, Before that, when I started my research, uh, there were very few countries were promoting medical tourism. You can count on your fingertip. Right now, across the globe, more than 40 countries are promoting medical tourism. And I would like to share this slide, but there are the very few good players in this medical tourism. Okay, in when I was doing the research, my topic was analytical study of organization and management of medical tourism. I saw there is a lack in the organization and management, and there is no proper organization and management of medical tourism. So these are the, we can say, the leaders in the medical tourism. I'm not counting as a top 10 destination or number one destination, but these are the leading medical tourism destination in the world. Thailand, Singapore, Malaysia, you can also in Far East, you can count that. Why I'm showing again, we will compare, see why they themselves position as a best medical tourism player in the market. What is their SOPs? You will understand when I'll share some slides with you, what is their SOPs after the COVID-19, what is the strategies to survive with this industry after the COVID-19. So you can see the, some figures over here. Thailand is one of the most preferable medical destination. 20 million visitors, out of that 20 million tourist visitors, out of that 1.5 million every year comes for the healthcare purpose. Incredible India, we have positioned as the best quality service providers, as well as the we have the alternative medicine, that is our USP. Mexico draws around 1 million foreign patient each year. uh, then Costa Rica, every country had some USP. What is the USP? Unique selling point. Even in our tourism destination, also every destination has some unique feature. Tourists are suggesting somewhere they want to go for the beaches or maybe hill station. So every destination had some kind of USP. So in medical tourism industry, these leaders have such kind of USP. Like take an example, Costa Rica, the top destination choice for the Botox treatment, cosmetic surgery, dental care. Take an example of India. India, most of the bypass surgery, heart surgery success ratio is more than 95%. Hip replacement surgery, joint replacement surgeries, wellness. So these are our USP. Turkey now it's coming up. It's a very good strategy, marketing strategy, and government is putting a lot of efforts to build as a number one destination for medical tourism. South Korea, especially for the technology, scientific and the technology facilities for the healthcare segment. UAE is coming up with the new strategies, wellness tourism, health tourism. They are more focusing on the wellness tourism. UAE is planning the world biggest wellness center. Dubai, UAE. I'm in UAE now. I'm handling all the operations from Dubai. So whenever you think about Dubai, the biggest building, biggest mall, tallest building, the world largest, world biggest. So now UAE is also planning world largest wellness center. Do you know the size of the wellness center? It will be around 12 football stadium. Okay. So now again, Expo 2020 also we are planning, but now just because of pandemic, the event has been postponed. So now, what are the 5 driving factors for medical tourism? And there are the 4 C's, 4 P's in the marketing, on the management. There are the different terminology, and medical tourism industry also there is some of the driving factor, and these are the driving factors are responsible to develop any destination as a medical tourism, or you can identify what are the key segment area when you are identifying, you are doing the segmentation for your target market. uh, you must know about this driving factor. First is affordable. Why a person travel from one country to another country? I'll take an example from US. Why the people are traveling from US to um, like India, maybe Dubai, Turkey or Singapore, Malaysia? Because cost of treatment is not affordable in their country. That is one driving factor. Then available, most of the countries, the treatment like high, like take an example of stem cell. Stem cell is not available everywhere. So that's why people have to travel one place to another place. Then accessible, it's not about the transportation and the flights arrangement, all these things. Okay. There are some countries like the treatment cost is affordable, treatment cost is available also, but treatment is not accessible. What it means, take an example of UK has a good NHS, National Healthcare Service, a free of cost or maybe very minimum charges. You will get the healthcare services. It is affordable, it is available, but not accessible. The healthcare service is not easily accessible. Like for a simple eye cataract surgery, you have to wait at least 3 to 6 months. I maybe this number now, this waiting period must be less, but there is a long waiting period for the basic healthcare services or maybe surgeries. So that's the reason most of the people now traveling. So it's not only for the UK, the other countries also having some problem, the waiting period. So that's what they are. Then acceptable. So most of the countries have some, because of the policy, because of their political stand, because of the religion purpose. Like take an example, if I want to give the example, so like organ transplant in ban some of the destination. So people, those are suffering from these problems, they have to travel from other country. And then the additional, what are the additional services, additional benefits we are getting when we are going for the treatment? So these are the 5 driving factors, and it's very important to making a strategy, making the SOPs, making the policies, identify your market segment, because you will understand which are the countries is not affordable, which are the destination, this treatment is not available, this it is not accessible. So you can save a lot of your time and money and the efforts if you work properly on these driving factors. Even the after the COVID-19, post COVID-19 world, you can see. So maybe first 3 driving factors may be very challenging now. Okay, it's maybe affordable, available, accessible, but how we can provide the services. So later we will talk about the challenges and the opportunity. So these are the driving factors. Then another question, these travelers, maybe I would rather frame like this medical tourist, medical traveler, are they traveling from each and every kind of treatment? No. There are the particular treatment and the procedure. For that procedure only, there is a demand. Okay. Like for example, there is no demand for the trauma cases. Like for example, someone fell down and he broke his hand and he said, no, I have to go for the medical tourism, I have to go for the other country for my treatment and the plaster. So no, it won't happen like this. Okay. So through the extensive literature review, internet search, These are the common treatment and procedure in medical tourism, or you can say the wellness. Cardiac care, angioplasty, pacemaker, coronary bypass, ortho care, hip replacement, knee replacement, corrective surgery. Corrective surgery is kind of someone's having the bow leg. Okay, so that is corrective surgery. Wellness, rejuvenation, alternative medicine, health and fitness, dental care, root canal, bridge. It may be sound weird for you, maybe all the other medical terms, but if you're working in the medical tourism industry, you should know the medical terms also. IVF, infertility treatment, then cosmetic, facelift, Botox, obesity, hair transplant, organ transplant, liver transplant, kidney transplant. So these are the common now. Stem cell, there is a huge more demand for the stem cell, and the oncology, that is cancer care. Again, it's not randomly I took this destination who are the leading medical tourism destination in India. There are the other destinations too. There are the emerging medical tourism destinations too. But according to literature review and the Google search, you will find the Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Chennai. These are the hotspot for medical tourism or wellness tourism. So now we'll come on the what are the challenges now this medical travel industry or medical tourism industry is facing. There was one report, it was mentioned, it reported that 90% of booking were cancelled. They planned medical trips, mainly elective and a non-urgent procedure, 90% of booking cancelled. Okay, it's all over the world. Okay, not particularly one destination, an average. Okay, now what is the reason? Now these are the challenges. This is our topic and we were talking. So now you have to pinpoint all these important points. Like then we have to work on these are the challenges. These are the challenges and what is the solution? The perception of travel as a risk. Yes, obviously, during the pandemic, everyone has a perception. Like even to take an example, we are not going out. Okay, if you want to go somewhere, we thought no, we can't travel now. This situation is not good. So how the medical tourists, how you can expect medical tourists will travel from one country to another country and for the medical treatment? No. So now the destination, the stakeholders from medical tourism industry, they have to work on the perception, how they can build the perception. Now, what are the policies come up? What are the new SOPs come up, and how they can able to change perception of a travel? It's not a risk. With the measurable protocols, if you follow, there is no risk to travel. Extended of lockdowns and the travel restriction. Most of the countries, they have the lockdowns has been extended. There is a travel restriction. There is a boundaries has been sealed now. So there is another challenge. You cannot travel. Okay. So how we can work on that? So it's not in our hand. It's a depend on their government and their policy where they will lift the lockdown. Vaccine unavailability. There is no certainty when the vaccine will available. Okay, most of the trials going on. Most of the scientists are around the clock. They are working on that. But as a tourism stakeholders, if we plan for the future, if we plan for the something better, like maybe after the vaccine, people may travel, people may start whatever pending, like I have to do for my dental care or maybe my cosmetic. It was not urgent, but that was planned. But after maybe the vaccine come up and then I will plan. So now it's very tricky situation for the medical tourism stakeholders. There is no certainty for when the vaccine is available. If there is a surety or maybe some kind of confidence that yes, next couple of months or maybe 6 months down the line, the vaccine will be available. So according to that, people will start working on their packages. Okay, but this is again challenge vaccine unavailability. Very important now. This COVID-19 taught us a lesson, especially for the healthcare industry. Now, people may thinking like twice they will think when before the traveling or they will select the medical tourism destination, how the robust your healthcare infrastructure, because in pandemic, the how the system has been collapsed. Okay, So this is also very important challenge for the destination now to rebuild that they have a robust healthcare infrastructure. Uh, did you remember we saw one slide, it was mentioned about the market size of medical tourism. What was the market size of medical tourism? Can you text? Okay. Yeah, it was in between around $60 billion, and the experts were suggesting that it will touch up to $100 billion industry. Supposedly, the market is big, but demand is less. There's a limited demand. I told you when I started the research, very few countries were promoting. Right now, 40 countries, more than 40 countries. In 40 countries, how many healthcare service providers will be there? And everyone want the piece of that dollar. So demand is very limited. When the demand is limited, we have to provide solution differently. And how we can provide the solution differently, that is the strategy and that is the opportunity for us, how we can survive after the COVID-19 in during this after the COVID-19. Mission begin again. You know, now don't worry about that. Most of the countries, they already open the doors for medical tourism. Take an example of Turkey. Turkey to open the doors, 31 countries for medical tourism. Malaysia, MHWTC, that is Malaysia Health Tourism Council, welcomes opening the border for medical tourists. So that's why these are even India, the Asia largest event was going on Advantage Healthcare. Advantage Healthcare working really hard how we can start again mission begin and how we can invite the medical tourists in the India. So medical travel industry, there are the different FICCs are also working on that. So why we call them a global leaders or leaders in medical tourism industry? They are started working on the preparing SOPs after the COVID-19. What are the precautions you have to take? What are the protocols has to be by government? What are the protocol and what are the protocol have to follow all the medical tourism stakeholders? So now gradually, the industry is taking shape. Whichever which the first slide we saw that it was down. Okay, now gradually it is coming up. Now, what are the opportunities we have after COVID-19? After the COVID-19, suddenly the technology playing very important role. Now, see, we are using the Zoom. Earlier, before COVID-19, there was very few people were using the Zoom. Now, millions of people are using Zoom. So there is an opportunity. Take an example, there's a rise of OMA. What is OMA stand for? It's online medical agency. The success of online travel agency OTAs such as Expedia, Booking.com, TripAdvisor, Ctrip has paved way to parallel healthcare verticals. So now similar, there are some platform for the online medical, you can say the medical tourism portals. There are the medical tourism portal. From there you can book your hospital, you can book the appointment with the doctor, you can book the accommodation. So now it's on your fingertip. So there are a lot of startups working on the medical tourism portals, medical tourism, medical agencies, online medical agencies. So there is no human to human in more interaction. So all will be the online. So this is the first opportunity. Then after that, artificial intelligence in medical tourism. Now artificial intelligence will play a very important role. uh, Most of the healthcare infrastructure, they want to prove themselves how robust their healthcare infrastructure. Now they will promoting the robot assisted surgery. There is a virtual nursing assistant now also in India. Most of the hospitals in ICU, there is a virtual nursing assistant is going on through the telemedicine and telehealth. There will be the preliminary diagnosis. There are the lot of scopes for the second opinion. There is another vertical for the medical tourism facilitators or medical tourism stakeholders, rather than just arranging the treatment for the patient for one country, another country, or destination. There's another vertical. They can think about the second opinion. Most of the patient, they may not require traveling for their treatment, but just because of the second opinion, the doctors from the one destination, X destination, can guide them the way, no, guide them for the treatment with the help of local doctor and the surgeon. So the artificial intelligence will play a very important role in medical tourism. There is the emergence of telehealth and telemedicine. Uh, in US, we even in our company, we are working on the telemedicine and the telehealth. We are developing the very robust platform. It is a combination of medical tourism and the health segment. So where you can book the appointment, your EHR will be there, electronic health records will be there. You can connect doctor anytime. You can take the consultation. There are, I'm not talking, it's again, there are some ethical legal aspects involved in that. So, okay, some of the destination may offer the online prescription, but some of the countries online prescription is not available. Even through, there's online pharmacies also. So through the one platform, that's the telehealth and the telemedicine, you can provide the services as a facilitator to your patient. After the COVID-19, most of the term will come the reverse medical tourism. You know, this is a very interesting area, the reverse medical tourism. Now, you know, before 10 years or 12 years back, uh, for India, target country was like most of the medical tourism players and most of the medical tourism stakeholders, they are targeting Africa as a source for the patient. But now, if you take an example, Kenya and the other destination, they are developing their infrastructure. Now, people don't want to travel far away from the destination. So, in my research, I have mentioned all about this thing. Now, earlier, the medical tourism format was like there was international medical tourism. People were traveling from one continent to another continent. But after that, people were thinking, no, we the same facility, the same infrastructure, same qualification of doctors we are getting in the nearby country. So why to travel far miles? We will select the, so there's like in the Middle East, people are traveling only the Middle East countries, like from Kuwait and other countries, people are coming to Dubai, okay, Turkey, okay. So now the term will come in future, the domestic medical tourism. It's working, not come, it's also already working. And take an example of the US also, people are rather than traveling other destination from North America, South America, no, they're going to Costa Rica and the Latin America. Okay, so in India also, so if you compare the driving factors, so every destination have some USP. Okay, so maybe metro cities can target, maybe metro cities, the cost of treatment is very high, even the living of cost is very high. So maybe West Bengal could be the option for medical tourism, could be the emerging medical tourism destination. Those patients who are coming to Delhi, Mumbai, they can divert it, like Bangladesh and Nepal, from the other countries. The West Bengal could be a medical tourism emerging destination. I read most of the articles. So they are developing as a medical tourism destination and the healthcare hub. Again, world aging population is growing. Okay. Most of the, in Europe part, if you see the millions aging population now, because of the technology and the good healthcare infrastructure, uh, the mortality rate is very less, very less. Okay, people are living more than 75 years, 85 years. Okay, so now this aging population is growing everywhere. Middle East, Europe. Okay, these are the area. Again, some of the countries, they don't have that much infrastructure, so these people have to travel. They have to require some kind of, because most of the health complications will start after the 60s. Okay, then again, this is again opportunity, I would say opportunity, or rather the good area or good segment to provide the solution and provide the services to them. Okay, they would like to travel for the rejuvenation, they would like to travel for the wellness, they would like to travel. So these are the options are available over there. You think there is a way. So there's a big area. If you really work hard on do your proper market research, then definitely these are the all the opportunity you can encash. Now, we were talking about the market size of medical tourism, about the 100 billion, but I would like to tell you the future is wellness tourism, because right now people are predicting medical tourism could be 100 billion, but the wellness tourism already is a $400 billion industry. According to one research report, if you see the wellness, I'm not talking about the particular wellness, whole wellness, all their products are coming then again, the wellness, therapies. Okay. The global wellness economy, which encompasses 10 diverse sectors, they're the different 10 diverse sector, was worth estimated 3.7 trillion. And out of that, the wellness tourism is around 563 billion. So you can focus not only just medical tourism, but the wellness tourism. And India, definitely there is a future, and there we can develop, it is my a dream. So India, I want to position India as a brand, India as a have wellness and the medical tourism hub. And it will all the stakeholders, Advantage Healthcare, most of the organization, FICCI, Government of India, working on that. Government of India is already investing a lot of money on the Ayush. So there's a lot of, so these are the their students, maybe stakeholders or professional. These are the all opportunities after the COVID-19 we have, and we have to work on that, and we can encash these opportunities. So what is the way forward strategy? Okay, we identified the challenges, we saw the what are the opportunities over, and but what are the way forward strategies? How we will work on that? Uh, as I have been in this industry from last 10 years, I work with most of the global companies, government, and Dubai Healthcare City. So three factors are very important: people, process, and the system. You have to work on the people. You should have a good trained and qualified manpower with you. There should be SOPs. There should be proper, government support. The system should be available. This, okay. Identify the segment and the USP. Every country has a unique selling point. So what is your unique selling point? What are the key segment in your destination when you are planning? This is very important. Government support to promote medical tourism. Like take an example, Malaysia Travel Council, they open the door. Turkey Tourism open the door for medical tourism. As definitely they have more infrastructure, or maybe compared to other destination. But government involvement is very important to promote medical tourism. Medical tourism stakeholders collaboration. What I found, there is no synergy between the medical tourism stakeholders. The collaboration is very important amongst the medical tourism stakeholders. Again, medical tourism education. I want to emphasize on this point very as a student. If you're thinking as a career point, medical tourism as an industry, so I would like to highlight on that point. I will come on that point also. So who are the medical tourism stakeholders and how we can do the collaboration with them? So these are the medical tourism stakeholders, medical tourism facilitators, or you can say the medical tourism companies, hospital, airlines, hotel, travel agents, tour operator, government policy makers, insurance, educational institute. Now we didn't touch each and every, I'm sure you are familiar with all these stakeholders. The insurance, I would like to highlight on the insurance part. See, insurance playing a very important role in medical tourism. Like for it, in US, uh, each and every person, insurance is mandatory over there. If you make the comparison of cost in India, treatment cost in India and the US, it's a 1/3. It's a huge difference. Like uh, like for example, an average. Okay, don't consider as an exact figure. For the bypass surgery, if you want to pay 20 lakh rupees in US, the say for the same surgery, you can pay only 7 lakhs in India, and you can do that surgery. Okay, if I have an insurance and I have to do this surgery in US, the insurance company has to settle my 20 lakhs bill. Okay, now what the medical tourism company is doing, medical tourism company is facilitating me in India and saving that amount. So already there is a medical tourism insurance also, and the medical tourism players like Blue Cross, Aetna, these are the some medical tourism insurance companies are working on that, and they are making uh, some new policies and the packages. What I observe in this industry is very specifically, I want to share with you, friends. It is observed that there is a shortage of trained and qualified workforce in medical tourism because the lack of structured medical education and awareness. I'm talking about the structure education. Like, take an example. Uh, uh, After your MBBS or nursing, so now most of the people are going for the specialization, a skin specialist, eye specialist. Okay, in the tourism industry, we will do either MTM or maybe Master of Tourism Administration or whatever your masters. But after that, we should have think about the specialization in your domain. I'm not talking about you have to go for the medical tourism, but whatever, either the aviation or maybe mice or whatever you think. But because I'm working on that, I'm developing the curriculum for the Gulf Medical University. I already developed the curriculum for the Gulf Medical University. I'm working with the National Qualification Authority to develop the uh, uh, we call that the NQA, National Qualification Standards. Okay, so medical tourism education. So as a student or professional, you think that have to be specialized and in this industry. For that, you need to learn a lot of things. You may have good knowledge about the tourism, geography. You can make good packages. You can make the good itineraries. But what about the clinical aspects? In medical is a combination of two industries: medical and the health, medical and the tourism. Okay, medical wellness. So tourism, you may have a ITA certification, you may have other certification, event management and other things. But what about the medical tourism? So if you want to learn, you have to go for the there was one report available. Those are working in medical tourism industry. You just Google the medical tourism companies. You will get lot of names, and when you are trying to approach them, most of the companies they already shut down their businesses. But as being a researcher, I was curious to know what happened, why this is a very lucrative industry, and why people are thinking that why people are shutting down their business. There was I read one study about the why most of the stakeholders not surviving. I found that they do not have a business plan. How many out of them? 80%, those are working in medical tourism industry, they don't have a business plan. So just imagine how they will survive in this industry. So then after that, because you have to learn this, not just because of the figure you are jumping into medical tourism industry, you have to learn each and every aspect of medical tourism. Then most of the people, they will try, and then after that they say no, it's not my cup of tea, and then they will shut down. No, you have to learn all the aspects, then you will success in this business. So I did one study, and then I asked all the stakeholders. You saw that slides. All the stakeholders are involved in this research study. I asked them what is the importance of medical tourism education in today's scenario. The 93% people saying yes, it's very important. I'm talking about the specialization. In India, when I was in ICRI, Institute of Clinical Research India, we were running one course called MBA in Healthcare Management, specialization in medical tourism. But after that, I'm not sure how many institutions are providing. But you have to learn a specialized course in medical tourism. Then that you can make the strategy, you can make the survival strategy. And during this journey of learning, you will learn a lot of skills. Develop your skill, your core areas, and again you will identify your core areas, whatever your, like you have a research background or maybe your marketing background, how you can use your skill in medical tourism industry, that you will come through your journey of medical tourism education. So we are working on with the many universities and institutions to run the specialized course in medical tourism. If you want more information about that, definitely my email address is there, so I would like to share more information about that. So this is not that topics we have to do. But after this, what are the opportunities, a career perspective, what are the opportunity you have? So these are the job opportunity you have, whether you do your course or not. Being a tourism professional, if you study hard, work hard, do your research, so you have opportunity to work in medical tourism as a medical tourism facilitator, case manager, business development, patient coordinator, guest relationship, travel document assistant, a destination program manager, we call DPM, a case manager, corporate interface officer, and you have opportunity to start your own business. There is a lot of startups working on the medical tourism. You can develop your portal. So there is a lot of opportunity, but the condition is you need to understand the subject. You need to study the subject, because every time I gave the suggestion, you don't have a right to play with the people's life. So uh, I think most of the top points I have covered. Now, if you have any questions, so we can proceed for the questions.
Thank you very much, sir, for sharing your valuable inputs. It was really very interesting. I would like to request Professor Vandita to please take on over the question and answer session. Professor Vandita?
Am I audible to you, sir?
Yes, yes. Please proceed.
First of all, thank you so much, Dr. Bankar, for sharing such an engaging presentation. Really, it's so much full of information, and we have got a lot many questions for you, sir, from the end of our students. So
Definitely, I will try to justify the question.
Sure, sir. So, sir, the first question is that what are the steps our government should take to recognize medical value travel as an independent industry in India?
Already the Advantage Healthcare, one organization working on that. So I think every state should have one governing council, a kind of counseling to watch on the medical tourism stakeholder. Unless and until you will not create this separate policy for medical tourism, it won't work. So the policy is very important.
Right, sir. So the next question is, in the post-COVID-19 era, are we going to witness a closer collaboration between the hospitality and hospitals? Like, will the health and the medical brands invest more in the travel and hospitality?
Yes, definitely. We already close with the tourism and the hospitality, because if you see the medical tourism stakeholders, most of them like hotel, airlines, travel agent, tour operator. Even if you, I would like to clear one point, like your how you can reframe this. If you don't have a background of clinical or medical, but you can outsource the services, like in hospital, they know how to take care of clinical part, they know how to handle the international patient, but they don't know how to make the itinerary, they don't know how to book the ticket. But as a tourism professional, or being in a tourism industry, you can ask them to, they can outsource their hospitality services with your company. That collaboration you can do with the most of the hospitals and even the medical tourism companies.
Right, sir. So the next question is, in the wake of COVID-19, many medical tourism companies, especially that in Gurugram and New Delhi in India, they have turned their attention to telemedicine services.
Yes.
Now, the question is that what sort of policies and monitoring is required in this arena as per you, sir?
It's very important. I told you there should be some policies, because we cannot, telemedicine, it's look like a very lucrative, but it's very risky, there is a lot of miscommunication happen, there is one case from US, through the telemedicine and online, one patient asked for the consultation, the doctor was not available. Okay. And then the nurse, she was guiding that patient to take this medicine, that medicine. And that patient was just around 7 to 8 months old baby. And then she guided them, and the first day it was going well. Then second day she asked him to just reduce, you are giving this half dose, give him the full dose. And as soon as she guided and she gave the full dose without consent of doctors, that patient dies. So these are the complications occur, because without the consent, without the doctor consent, ethical legal aspects. So the major concern is ethical legal aspects. So from the MCI, Medical Council of India, they have to come up with the policy and the guidelines. They have to set up some protocols, whoever medical tourism facilitators converting them, as a telemedicine facilitator or telehealth facilitator, they have to follow the guidelines as per the MCI or maybe WHO.
Thank you so much, sir. That was a really valuable input. May I now please request Professor Siddharth Nanda to kindly give the vote of thanks.
Thank you so much, sir. You have touched plethora of topics. You have touched on job opportunities. You have touched on how education patterns should be, developed. You have also focused on the industry growth, comparing wellness. You have touched so much of aspects. We wish we could have more time to engage
Sure,
you with
sure,
us.
sure.
And we're really looking for have more associations with you, have more better collaborations in future, so that your knowledge, not only students in faculties across different domains can gain. In fact, today we have participants across different domains, including students.
Oh,
So very
great.
grateful, sir, and thank you so much for coming for today's session and addressing
Thank you.
us.
We are very soon we are organizing one specialized on health tourism.
Okay.
So maybe I will share the details with the Vandita ma'am or you,
Sure.
and then most of the
Thank you.
participant can join that special session.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much,
much.
sir.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you so
On
much.
Take